So, my disclaimer for tonight. This presentation is for informational purposes and is not legal advice, as every claim is different. Viewing this presentation does not form an agent-client relationship with Carmella George of Jacksonville Veterans Disability Services. If you have specific questions regarding your claim, consult a Veterans VSO, agent, or attorney. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. How are you? Um, so I'm taking questions tonight. Anything you want to ask on VA disability? Hi, my name is Carmella George. If you've never watched before, I'm a VA accredited claims agent. Okay, so let's jump right in. Let me see who's first. Let me see. I'm trying to find the first comment. Okay, here we go. Hi, Carmella. One second. Hi, Carmella. I have an increased claim pending. I also will be asking for increases on some other claims. I also need to claim some new claims as secondaries. Do I have to wait for pending claim to be finished before I start new ones? No, you can submit another claim at the present. You do not have to wait. Hello, what is the benefit of using an agent on a claim? Can you use an agent for a supplemental claim? Agents have gone through rigorous testing, background checks, all that good stuff by the VA, make sure they are have the aptitude to help veterans. It's kind of in between a lawyer and a VSO. And I think the benefit is help of agents is that we're solely focused, most of us, on VA disability. Whereas sometimes we can get an attorney, they might be focused on Social Security disability too, and personal injury and other things. Not all of them. Some are solely dedicated to veterans, but you know you're getting a specialist when you hire an agent. And I think you get a level of attention that a VSO is not able to provide. So yes, you can use an agent to file a supplemental claim. What recommendations do you have for filing sciatica, radiculopathy secondary to low back strain? I currently have 40% for low back strain, and I do have a diagnosis of sciatica. My advice is just to claim it. That's a very common thing with back pain. You really don't need to get a Nexus because the examiner will probably give you a Nexus. So just go ahead and claim it, and that's all there's to it. What does pending mentor status mean? My higher level review has been there for about 3 weeks, and I called today and they said it's pending mentor status approval. Okay, so when raters are new employees or trainees or they have had some trouble and need to be retrained, they are paired with a mentor, somebody who has been on a senior level, who has been doing it for a while and can help them and see, check their mistakes and see if the decision was the right decision. So it's a good thing to have a second eye on your claim because the person who's doing it probably has very little experience. And so I don't know why it's been there 3 weeks. That's odd. But um, the mentor needs to review the outcome before it can move forward. Thank you so much for all the help you give. You're welcome. God bless you always. I am awaiting LHI to schedule telehealth appointment and wondering how long to does it take as everything they need. The average claim time I'm seeing right now is 3 to 4 months. If you start a claim right now, if you started it during COVID, it's taking a little bit longer. Um, those exams just they didn't act on them or they got canceled or things like that. So if you have filed recently, like within the last month, I would give it 3 to 4 months. What's the difference between a Nexus letter and a medical opinion? They're pretty much the same thing. What I would say is the difference is a Nexus letter comes from a private doctor, whereas a medical opinion, unless it's an independent medical opinion, the medical opinion comes from the VA examiner. So, and when the VA sends a claim to a contractor or a doctor or examiner, they um, they ask for them to fill out the DBQ that tells them the severity of your condition, and they also ask them for a medical opinion, which basically asks, is this connected to service? Um, and that's pretty much the difference. If a veteran has had lots of GI problems in service and anemia and was diagnosed with celiac, which helped resolve the anemia, diarrhea, and constipation, is that service connected disability? If so, which one? I've never seen celiac listed. Yes, celiac disease can be service connected. It's rated uh, by analogy, which means it's rated by, since it's not on the rating schedule, it's rated by something that's similar to it, probably irritable bowel syndrome. Um, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it particularly myself, so I can't tell you. But if you have GI problems in service, you should definitely move forward with claiming that. I had a CMP for depression and anxiety with BES, and it only lasted an hour, a half hour. Is that normal? I would say that's a little on the short side for a CMP exam for mental health. It probably should have been more like 45 minutes, but I wouldn't be discouraged by it only being 30 minutes. The doctor could have got what they needed in that time. You might have said enough. They might have reviewed your records thoroughly and feel like they have enough information, or they might have had another appointment after yours. I mean, there's a world of things that could have made that appointment 30 minutes. So I would not be discouraged by it, and I would just wait for the results. Hi, Carmella. Hi. Is it possible to get service connected for tinnitus if you didn't complain in service, however you worked on the flight line? Yes. Well, maybe 1 out of 3 cases I see, well, no, it's more than that. It's less than that. About half the cases I see, um, the veteran did not complain of tinnitus in service. But if you have a MOS that was high noise exposure, and or you have hearing loss, it sounds like you meet that criteria because you were on the flight line, then you can claim tinnitus after service. Tinnitus is one of the easiest claims, and a lot of veterans have it just by, having to shoot guns and things like that can bring about tinnitus. So tinnitus is very annoying. I have it too. Requested my C file August last year, still have not received it, and the request was closed. Should I request it again? I needed to file my claim. I don't think you need to request it again. They should be, if the request was closed recently, they should be sending it. And it might take 7 to 10 days to get. If it's been over 7 to 10 days, I would call and ask where it is, or get your VSO to do some deeper digging and send some emails to people to see what's going on. The alternative is you can get a VSO, an agent, an attorney with electronic access to your file and grant them a power of attorney, VA power of attorney, by appointing them as a representative, and you can have your file in a matter of days. So that might be an option for you. Some, especially with VSOs, you don't have to use them beyond that. Agents, attorneys might be different, but you can sign it over, say I want to get my file, my electronic file, and hopefully they will work with you to get it to you. For appeals prior to AMA, can a veteran switch lanes at the BVA or into AMA? Claim has been pending at the board since 2015. You can't go into AMA, but I'm not sure what lane you would want to switch to at the BVA. I believe that you can. I could very well be wrong on that. There aren't many lanes for old appeals. It was rather just one lane and then the option to have a hearing. So if you want to switch to not having a hearing, all you have to do is write the VA. But the legacy system didn't really have lanes like the new AMA does. I seen a guy say he got back pay for when he did intent to file when he received 10% for tinnitus, but his rating is still 70%. Is this possible? It's possible if he did the intent to file while he was at a lower rating. For instance, he filed it January of this year and he was only at 50%. And then in March of this year, they bumped him up to 70%. Then he would have got 2 months worth of time worth of back pay. It's hard to say without looking at his file, but I had a client recently who was 90%. The VA kept him at 90%, and he got $600 worth of back pay, and we really don't understand where it came from. But I think it has something to do with his separation pay. But there's all kinds of situations in which he could get back pay. So yes, it's possible. It's just not common. How long does it take for an appeal decision by higher up judge's decision? Have been waiting to be seen by a judge since April 2020. Thank you. It's taken about a year for those decisions. Tomorrow I have my very first phone appointment. Let me move this down here. I have my very first phone appointment. I retired in April and had no clue where to start until 2 days ago. I literally have been asking where to start with no help. What should I expect on this call? I'm assuming that the call is for your mental health, and in the case of that call, you should expect them to ask about your background, your history, any legal problems, any marital problems, your childhood, military life, after military life, any stresses that you've had, if it's PTSD and things like that, what you experienced in the military, and they'll ask some more questions, but that's generally it. You retired in April. My best advice to you is, besides your medical records, anything that develops to a compensable degree within the first year that you're out of service, 365 days, can be service connected. So my best advice to you is to go to the doctor if you don't have medical records in service for it, go to the doctor now and get records before next April, and then file a claim on it. There's so much you can do at the beginning of a claim to save yourself from years of appeals and fighting the VA and all that kind of stuff. So you're in the golden period, the 1 year period after service. And if it develops to a compensable degree, arthritis, headaches, pretty much anything. I just had a sleep apnea connected, pretty much presumptive. You're in the golden period, that 1 year after service, and you should take advantage of it. When you submit a secondary claim, do you also submit a buddy statement, etc., if it's not in your service record? For example, anxiety from tinnitus. I'm currently in therapy right now. It's good practice to submit a statement. You don't have to, but you can. Sometimes, because they will ask you about it in the interview, in the CMP exam. Sometimes a strategy is not to submit a statement in the beginning, and if it gets denied, use a statement to reopen the case. I rarely advise that, but it's a strategy. But give them everything they need up front. Go ahead and submit the statement and get it in so the examiner can review it before your appointment. I'm 100% PNT. Do I need to obtain a copy of my C file? It's always good to see what's in there, just to make sure things are straight with the VA. They're paying you all they're supposed to be paying you, dates were right, and all that kind of stuff. So it's beneficial. After you're 100% PNT, you can look at your rating code sheet, and if you need aid in attendance, or if you qualify for SMC, special monthly compensation, at a later date, it might be helpful to already have your files. What are the exact steps to claim PTSD due to MST? Can it be done via a VSO? Does childhood sexual trauma negatively impact the claim of MST, exacerbated or caused anxiety, hypervigilance, and sleep apnea? This is a good question. The exact steps to file it is to go on eBenefits and file a claim for PTSD. They're going to ask you a bunch of questions, which is basically your statement, and that's pretty much all that's to it. If you file a different way, like through a VSO, you're going to have to do a written statement, statement in support of claim that explains your stressor and any markers that you had in service that would say that you experienced some type of sexual trauma. The question about does childhood sexual trauma negatively impact the claim? I would try to minimize that and focus on what happened in the military, but they will probably say that your childhood sexual trauma was aggravated by military service and it worsened as a result, and you can get a rating for that too. So I'm sorry you had to go through that, but the exact steps are just making sure your statement is very detailed when you submit it as a stressor for PTSD. So how do you deal with claims and no military medical records that claim to be nowhere on Earth? These are very, very difficult claims. I tell you, you can write statements, get other people to write statements, show pictures, get prescription records. Those might be available from where you were prescribed medicine for something. As much other evidence as you can get of a condition then submit that with the claim. But the VA says, the law says that the VA has a heightened duty to assist where there are no medical records. And so nobody really knows what heightened duty to assist means, but um, they should be trying to find some records for you. And so they'll try about 3 times and then they'll give up. But I'm sorry that your records were lost or are missing, but those claims are very, very hard. I don't have too many strategies for them rather than to gather statements from everybody on earth. My husband has right knee problems and already had surgery on his left knee. Okay. I submitted a claim April 2019. My PTS claim was deferred. It's been a year now. Is there anything I can do to get them to make a decision? It's pretty ridiculous that it's taking that long. I would get a good VSO or agent to send some emails or call the VSO line to see what's going on with that claim and try to get it moving, because that's what I would do. I would, if for in your case, I would just email somebody and get it moving. But everybody does it different. So as you practice in the practice of veterans law, you start to make contacts at regional offices when throughout your time in service. So I have had to, I know this person here, that person there, that person there. When there's a problem, I can call them up or send them an email and things will get straightened out. So get you a good VSO who has connections and can get your claim moving. That's my best advice. Also, call the VA and ask what's going on with it. That might be a way to push it forward. But the tracking is probably just off on your claim, like it's just sitting there, and the the switch that was supposed to tell them to move it forward isn't there, and nobody has gone back to look at it manually. So they can't still be waiting on a medical opinion after a year or so. I don't know what's going on. Hi, ma'am. I went on to benefits and saw that a claim was submitted on me. I did not submit this claim. Does this mean that VA submitted this claim on me because I'm due for 5 years relook? If so, then why did the VA only pull one of my disabilities from the list of many things that is wrong with me? Yes, it probably means you're up for reevaluation. They only did one disability because you probably only had one disability that's not considered static. Static means um, not no future thought that your condition might improve. So if all of your conditions were rated static except one, you're only going to get an exam for the one that's not static. A lot of times that's the mental health rating. They don't like to make that permanent. Um, but yeah, it's not abnormal that they already pulled one. I know it's not disability related, but I'm flying back home. Is the VA doing COVID tests? And I forgot to claim a skin condition when I filed my claims. Condition. When I do the test, do I have to shave or how will that work? I would suggest you shave before the test, but if you don't and you still, I mean, your condition still shows, that's all right. Yes, the VA is doing COVID-19 testing. I can't tell you where, when, how, but I know I just had a cousin that went to the Fayetteville VA up here for a serious problem, and they COVID tested him before he was allowed in the urgent care. So I know they're doing it. Do I write Nexus letters? No, I don't write Nexus letters. I'm not a medical professional, but I know of a lot of providers that do write Nexus letters. Hello, my son has just been added has just been added to my benefits with effective date of October 2018. Should I be expecting back pay, and how do I find out? Thanks, events. Yes, you should. If they backdated to October 2018, you should be getting back pay for it. You could call the 1-800 number 827-1000 and ask them about any back pay that's coming. I did an intent to file in March for hip right leg condition. My VSO just filed an increase for my PTSD. Will I need to do anything to my hip leg claim to get an exam for the hip leg condition? You could submit private records or whatever records you have of a hip leg condition. If you're claiming it as a primary condition, hopefully you had some record of that in the service, and that's really what they're looking for. Or else they will deny the claim in a couple days. What is the length of time after a claim is closed that you can appeal it? 365 days. So you have 365 days from the date of the notice, the notification letter, to file an appeal. Right now, because of COVID, any appeal date that ended after March 20th, 2020, they're granting extensions for appeals. So you can say, because of COVID, I wasn't able to get with my VSO, or I wasn't able to file in time, and get an extension of that appeal period. I've used it a couple times myself. They are granting them left and right. And if you need that extension, ask for that extension. If it's an older claim in the appeal period, you're going to have to file a supplemental claim with new and relevant evidence to get your claim reopened. Our VSO officer started the wrong diagnosis on our claim, which was denied. We put in a supplemental claim stating the fact that the diagnosis originally wrong as stated by VSO, and we put correct diagnosis along with a Nexus letter, but still denied. What can we do? I would ask for a higher level review and speak directly to the person that's making the decision and try to explain the situation. Sometimes when things get mixed up like that, it's best to talk directly to the person making the decision, and an informal conference at a higher level review will allow you to do that. Any timeline for BVA getting through the legacy claims remaining in the appeals process? I went in front of a BVA judge in the fall of 2018 and received a remand in July 2019. You should be getting a decision sometime soon on that remand. They probably had to send you to CAP exams or something like that. That's why it was remanded. But if you've already had those exams, about a year, remands take about a year or more. So I would be expecting a decision soon. But if you have a good representative, they might be able to help you get it moving. That claim's been in a long time, and it just shouldn't take that long for Veterans Appeals. They were trying to have all legacy claims finished before July 2020, but that didn't happen. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I enjoy answering questions and helping veterans out when I can. It's just much faster for me to be live and answer the question than to go through it on the page and write each answer. And I think I can explain it better on live. So that's why I do this. Sleep apnea claim was denied with two buddy statements and 2 sleep studies showing OSA HLR. Sent back for duty to assist error, still denied. Sent 2 more buddy statements, denied again, service connection. Secondary due to PTSD. What can we do from here? You need to take your appeal to the Board of Veterans Appeals. It's going to take a year for a decision, but you are likely to get a better decision, especially if you had a Nexus letter and all those buddy statements. And so that's your route. If you lose at the BVA, get a lawyer, take it to the Court of Veterans Appeals, and you're likely to probably get granted there. Yes. So the board is, you're dealing with lawyers at the board, so they're going to interpret the law and give you a well-reasoned response, whether it's a denial or a grant. You'll know exactly what you need to do to get it connected. Hello, my status went from preparation for a decision to gathering of evidence. VA added claims to my file. Is this normal? Yes, there's nothing abnormal about that. I get my treatment through the VA. I see a VA psychiatrist for my meds and a VA psychiatrist for my therapy. A VA psychologist. The VA psychologist diagnosed me with PTSD. I recently filed a claim for PTSD. In my blue button report, PTSD is on my problem list. I have a psych CMP exam with October 23rd. I got 2 hospital records for it to them already. Do you think that I still need a Nexus letter? If so, do I ask my psychologist for that I see in therapy every other week? I don't think you need a Nexus letter at this point. You have the diagnosis by the VA itself, and so that's going to be in your records, and why you have that diagnosis is going to be in your records, and you'll get the chance to explain it to the psychologist you see from QTC on October 23rd. So that should be enough to grant the claim without a Nexus letter. If the psychologist feels like it's service connected when you talk to them. If they deny it, then ask your psychologist that you see weekly for a Nexus letter, file a supplemental claim, and get it reopened. But you don't need a Nexus letter at the beginning of that. It's not absolutely necessary. It's nice to have. It's a nicety, not a necessity. So it's nice to have to try to get the benefit of the doubt and put the evidence in equios. But a lot of times the VA at the agency level ignores the benefit of the doubt law and does what they want to do, values their opinion over a private opinion. So I would keep that Nexus letter in my pocket as a weapon and pull it out when you need to. Carmella George, presumptive Gulf War illness from the VA. Say you make a claim and it's on the presumptive list. Does this mean you still have to produce evidence? The reason I ask is because the VA canceled my CMP appointments for tinnitus, IBS, foot pain. When I called, the rater said they no longer needed a test. I don't have any evidence on my file. If you're still within a year of getting out, you need to get evidence. You need to get yourself to the doctor, get seen, and get that evidence as soon as possible. If it's not in your file, then they probably just cancel, or they're probably going to deny you and just said you didn't need a CMP appointment. I would not expect a grant if that happened. But if it's presumptive and it shows up within a year of you getting out, then it still can be service connected. So you need to get some diagnoses on records. Get to the doctor, get seen, let them know it's been going on since service, and use those records to file your claim. Besides agent, who is the best to use on BDD claim before I retire from military? Get a VSO. The VSOs are very good for things like that. Hey, I'm waiting on my DBQ through mail and my deadline to file my claim ends today. Is there a way to extend so that I won't lose my year wait? I don't understand why you're waiting on a DBQ through the mail, but I would go ahead and file the claim or file an intent to file so you won't lose your year. Whatever you do, don't lose your year. Don't let 365 days lapse from your last claim, because you're going to miss 12 months of money. So file the DBQ when it comes in, but go ahead and file the claim. It sounds like if it's waiting in the mail, that it's imminent, that it's going to be there soon. Why is the VA taking too long to rate some claims? Deferred. CP exams were completed over 2 months now. Just have one CMP exam left. I was partially rated for some as well. This is my initial claims. They're just slow. They're just slow. It might have been, if you did benefits before discharge, it might have happened a little faster. But if you filed after you got out, they are just slow. They need more things, and they don't have any urgency about it. If I get temporary custody of my nephew, can I add him as my dependent? I don't believe that you can. If you end up adopting him, then you could add him. But I tried before to get a nephew and a niece, and it didn't work. How long does it take to receive money after the BVA hearing? If it was granted, you should receive money soon after you get the decision. I have a battle buddy who is claiming infertility secondary to burn pits and permethrin overexposure. She has a Nexus letter. Plans on writing a personal statement. Her exam is Monday. Any advice? What do you know about infertility claims for Gulf War vets? Okay, so doctors aren't very good with Gulf War claims and burn pits and all of that. We saw yesterday or the day before in a hearing at either the Senate or the House of Representatives, somewhere official, that the VA said that they have denied over the last, like, I believe it was 10 years or so, they have denied 77% of claims that have to do with burn pits. It makes no sense. So that means that only 20-some% are getting service connected. And so it's a difficult claim. And so my best advice is that she needs to advocate for herself in the exam. Tell the examiner exactly what those burn pits were like, how close you were to them, what they were burning, how often you were by them. I mean, just keep talking. That's what I would do until you got some type of affirmation from the examiner. There's just not a lot of research out there about burn pit exposures. I know people like, what's his name, John Stewart, are really pushing it right now. And so there'll probably be some more studies in the near future. But there's a lot of things that burn pits and Gulf War exposures that are eventually one day going to be presumptive. It's like Agent Orange in Vietnam. It took them a while to consider Agent Orange presumptive. And so my advice is just for her to be vocal. I also have a question. I seen a nurse practitioner for my knee secondary to my back. When I went to my appointment, my knee was in a lot of pain and couldn't stand on it. She wanted to take my range of motion on my knee. My wife had to sit me in my walker to get there. The result was she put less likely than not. That's it. Comment. This was at a QTC and she never touched me. What can I do? They might have denied it because you couldn't perform the exam. What you need to do is get the notes from that CMP exam and see exactly what the examiner said, and that's what you need to come back. If you can get a private Nexus letter, that would help too. Oh, I think I just answered that. Will they update my claim if I fax my supporting documents to the claim intake center in Wisconsin? How do I contact them to check and see if they received them? Yes, they will update your claim. It usually faxes. I fax all the time, every day, and it usually only takes 1 or 2 days for it to show up. So you can call the 1-800-827-1000 and see um, if it's been received. Why would VA cancel a CMP exam for PTSD increase in IU claim? There might be enough information on file to make the decision, but more than likely either the vendor they sent it to couldn't do it or handle a request, or COVID slowed them down and they're sending it to another vendor. Um, there's a host of reasons they could have canceled the exam. But if you applied for an increase in IU, they're going to give you an exam. So I will look out for it to be scheduled or another request for exam to be sent out. How do we request our complete C file? You can do a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, Privacy Act request, and get your C file from the National Personnel Record Center in St. Louis. That is the slow way to get your C file. The best way, I think, to get your C file is to get a representative that has electronic access to VBMS, the VA system, and eFolder Express, and to get them to download your C file for you. It'll probably take a couple days. Give them a USB and let them get your C file, because printing it out for you is probably thousands of pages. So that's not very feasible. Get a good representative. Sleep apnea, that's me. It's so bad. Normal people have 3.5 episodes per hour. 35 episodes per hour is very severe. I've been at 68. Oh, that's ridiculous. Yes, you maybe you should file a secondary claim. I don't really see the question there, but I'm sorry your sleep apnea is so bad. When the BVA granted you, how long will it take the VA to rate you? On the claims that I've seen, it doesn't take very long to get rated after the BVA has granted. Usually within a couple weeks or a month, I have a decision. If I'm service connected for tinnitus and diagnosed with anxiety, do I need a Nexus to get my anxiety secondary to tinnitus as an aggravating factor? You don't need a Nexus. If you claim anxiety secondary to tinnitus, they're going to give you a CMP exam. At that CMP exam, they're going to also ask the doctor for a medical opinion, which says if they believe your anxiety is connected to the tinnitus. That's one way to go about it. If it gets denied, then I would get a Nexus letter and try to go back at them with a supplemental claim. But I would try just submit the claim with the personal statement on what's going on, and get that connected. What if I go secondary to my tinnitus for mental health and migraine? I've seen it. Those are valid claims, and I've seen lots of them be connected. I want to talk to a mental health doctor at VA to see if I can be service connected for depression. The lady at the VA said I could not be seen if I'm already service connected with the disorder. What do I need to be seen by a mental health provider? If you're already connected for a mental health condition, then you need to get and if you're not service connected, you can still get a consult from your primary care physician at the VA. Request a consult to mental health, or talk to a VA social worker and get in on a mental health appointment. But if you need to see mental health, they should be helping you see mental health, so stay on them. I filed a PTS claim and it was denied. Can I file again because I'm currently being seen by a private doctor for this illness? Yes, get your private doctor records and submit it as a supplemental claim. And ask your private doctor, will they write a Nexus letter? I'm 100% PNT. Will I get a relook in 5 years, 2 years retired for your information? No, when you're permanent and total, you're not going to get relooked at in 5 years unless you reopen something with your claim. You are good to go, and they're not going to look at it again unless there was some gross, clear, unmistakable. They do a special review of your file and they find that some clear, unmistakable error happened, but that's not very likely. The chances of that are very, very low, like 5%. So you got ahead, so just leave the VA alone. Does the VA always send you to an exam, even with the Nexus letter? They usually do. I don't think in some cases that they should. The Nexus letter is sufficient evidence, but in most cases I see, probably the great majority of them, probably 90%, they still send the veteran for a exam. Hello, asking for my daughter. What's the best way to approach filing a claim for MST that was never reported when it happened about 7 years ago? She could probably gather a couple of buddy statements that she told at the time, but that's about it. Gather those buddy statements and file the claim. If she had any markers in service, weight gain, going to the doctor for stomach problems or anything like that, um, um, performance issues, wanting to switch units or something like that. If there's any marker of what to show that something happened, something changed in service, then highlight that for the VA. That's how you approach an MST claim. Do you know if Nexus letter writing is covered by insurance? What is the normal range of cost to have a medical professional look at your record to properly write one? Usually it's not covered by insurance. It's considered forensic. And so some doctors, though, will just write them because they're your primary doctor and they've been there for so long that they just consider it a visit to the doctor and they'll write a letter. Some doctors won't do it. And in that case, you have to find an expert that will. And the normal range of cost for a Nexus letter is probably about $500 to $2,000 these days. It's sad that it costs so much. I think as more competition arises, which is happening now, more companies are doing these things, just medical evidence. I'm not talking about the companies that also do your claim. But as more competition hits the market, they're going to, the price will lower for Nexus letters. But what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Medical professional, look through your record to properly write one. Hello, how do I go about applying for IBS, secondary to anxiety caused by mental health pills? Also, I'm Gulf War veteran, but have been out a couple years. Would I need a Nexus letter, or could I just do a Gulf War as a presumptive? I just got the diagnosis. I did not have it while I was in service. Your input and guidance would be much appreciated. Thanks. You're welcome. I think that you should get a Nexus letter. Gulf War claims, like I was just telling on the other question, are very rarely granted. The VA is only granting 20-some% of them so far. It will probably go up because of all the hoopla surrounding it right now. But I would get the Nexus letter telling them that this has been a problem since service or within a year of service, and that it's more likely they're not service connected. But how you apply for IBS secondary to anxiety is to literally put on the claim IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, secondary to medication taken for service connected anxiety. I filed carpal tunnel syndrome and it was denied in December 2019. Can I file an appeal or a higher level review? Yes, you can. How long should I expect to hear back from the BVA? About a year is the average. It really depends on when you put it in, and I don't really know when that was, but about a year is the average. I filed a claim for PTSD with seizures, and I was denied for non-service connected. I was seen by LHI, which did not have any of my medical records and only asked me about the symptoms. The entire appointment only lasted 10 minutes. What do you suggest when I appeal? I would ask for a high level review and tell them that the examiner did not have any of your records and ask for a new exam. That's a shabby exam. Or do a supplemental claim with new and relevant evidence. So you have a couple different routes you can take for appeal, but please do appeal that. I plan to start going to the VA to get treatment for my back that I'm receiving disability for. I haven't had any treatment for it in years. Do I just schedule my appointment and start continued treatment before filing for increase? You could file for increase now, and they're going to rate you based on the severity of your condition now, regardless of whether you have treatment records or not. But it's nice to have treatment records. And so, yes, you just schedule your appointment with your primary care doctor at the VA. Any idea how to get a copy of CPDBQ fast enough to use it for an appeal within 1 year time frame? Get a good representative that has electronic access. How can one get a copy of a CMP exam? Either file, you can get it off My Health Evet if the VA did it themselves. Get it off get it from the VA by Freedom of Information Act request, or get a good representative with electronic access to the VA system, and they can give you a copy really quickly. Without the missing military records, I presently 10% for tinnitus. I would probably try to get some things secondary to tinnitus if you can. If you actually have issues secondary to tinnitus. But otherwise, those missing military records is a big obstacle. I've been out since 2002, 70% PTSD, diagnosis about the same time. Sleep apnea diagnosis in 2015. Can I put in a secondary claim or possibly aggravation of sleep apnea? Yes, you can. Not sure if you already answered this, but my appeal is waiting to be sent to a judge at the BVA. How long will it take? Probably about a year. Can you get a decision in disability without having a CMP exam? Claim was submitted 3 months ago and no scheduled exams, which never took so long to get scheduled and pass claim. COVID probably you can get a decision without CMP exams, but it's not likely. COVID probably slowed things down. Those claims that were submitted between March and July, I'm seeing a real lag in CMP scheduling times. So you're probably going to get scheduled for exams at some point. Hello, ma'am. I filed for hammer toes and I was seen regularly for blisters and toe infections while in service. They weren't officially diagnosed, but were noted in my files as infected and hammer toes for me to be seen at podiatry. I never was. I was not service connection, and the letter said I had joined with mild Yeah, noted in my intake exam. I see they changed my claim to say Hallus valgus and hammer toes. Why would they list something I'm claiming when it wasn't? It's probably a good thing they changed your claim to say that. Oh, they changed your claim to say that because that's what the diagnosis was at your CMP exam. Let me see if I can see the rest of your question. If that's what the diagnosis was at the CMP exam, then they're just going to add it to the letter and the denial. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't see the rest of your question. No, I don't see the rest of your question. I'm currently awaiting a medical board. What would you recommend I do on the medical side to ensure I don't get messed over when filing my claims? Keep going to the doctor. Keep going to the doctor. Hello, I'm service connected for chronic weak ankles, which hinders me from walking and getting the exercise I need. I'm also service connected for PTSD and have sleep apnea, but not service connected. Is it possible to get sleep apnea connected secondary to my ankles? Yes, I would just file a claim that says sleep apnea secondary to obesity caused by service connected ankles. Does it help with being diagnosed with the new service connection if you go out and get diagnosed with x-rays out of the pocket first? Yes, if you get new and relevant evidence and file a supplemental claim, it'll help get service connection. I know it's not disability related, but I'm flying back home soon. Is the VA doing COVID-19 tests? Yes, they are. I think I already answered that one. So I have 100% rating for PTSD. I also have a slew of other diagnoses that are service connected. I was 90%, then I got granted 100% IU. My PTSD claim alone says 100%. So my question is, can I have IU and 100% scheduler rating? Like if I were trying to work, if I lose my IU, but my 100% scheduler still pay at the same rate? The answer is yes. Whichever situation is most beneficial to you is what the VA should go by. So you should no longer be filling out those what do you call them? When they ask questions about your income every so often. So my husband has a shoulder replacement. Does the VA consider this a prosthetic? Yes. How detailed should a personal statement for PTSD MST claim as well as hysterectomy anxiety claim? Pretty detailed. I would give as much detail as you can. How long does it take to get results after a CMP for a supplemental claim? Probably about a month. How can obtain records of inpatient admission for psych? CAC level 3 alcohol treatment while in service. I have filed Freedom of Information Act twice and haven't received anything yet. Those should be in your records. That's a good question. I might get back to you later on this question. But find a good representative with electronic access and that can access your file and get those records for you. Although drugs and alcohol is a bar to benefits, so if that was your primary diagnosis, they might not service connect it, but just see what's in your file. Submitted benefits before discharge claim. Receive letter stating I have 30 days to add additional docs. If doc has run more tests for venous insufficiency and recommends surgery, should I upload it? Yes, definitely upload that. Has an ACE exam ever been used in mental health issues using telehealth when VA has everything they need? veteran chronically ill, and they will be talking to me, his caregiver. They will review his records thoroughly and talk to you, which is not really an ACE exam. So he's going to get an exam. Good evening. I have been scheduled for an exam for TBI. However, I requested a telehealth exam because I'm afraid of missing it if the weather is bad. Are these exams only done at a VA medical facility? The answer to this is I'm not sure whether they are doing TBI exams by telehealth. I have not seen it or heard of it yet, but some providers might be doing it. So, yeah, the answer is I really don't know. When is something else that I can try to do to get my medical records? I have filed all the normal ways suggested. Try to go on TRICARE Online. I think it's TRICAREOnline.com, and go to the blue button and put the dates that you served in, and see if any records show up. Prescription records, medical records. See what's there. Can I file depression as secondary to my service-connected chronic pains of my knees, back, and C-spine? Yes, sir. Or ma'am. I was recently denied on a diabetes secondary to OSA with a good Nexus letter from a very reputable doctor. Should I appeal with the HLR or with the supplemental response from the doctor? I would try a higher level review first. It might be faster if you did a supplemental response from a doctor, but if it costs you money, I would go with the HLR and try to explain to them that you should be granted the benefit of the doubt. Make sure you do an informal conference with the rater and just argue benefit of the doubt, and see what happens. If not, then take it to the board. My husband is trying to connect his leukemia to the burn pits in Iraq. He has two types, MDS and AML. MDS is a kind that requires some sort of outside agent to mess you up, i.e. the burn pits. You're going to have to get a Nexus letter. There are doctors that specialize in environmental and agents and stuff like that. You might want to find one that has that type of experience. I was told my bilateral plantar fasciitis was not service connected by the board. What is my next step? You have 120 days to get a lawyer and go to CAVIC, the Court of Veterans Appeals. So I would get a lawyer ASAP and take it a little bit higher. If I requested my medical records from National Archives and was told they don't have them, how do I initiate any claim? And what type of documentation would I need? Also, I chaptered, but was given a general under honorable conditions. I would try TRICARE Online to see if your records are there. Number 2, get statements from as many people as you can, pictures, prescription records, whatever you can gather to recreate the record. Try to do that. I would ask the VA to try to reconstruct the record, and I would put in the claims that are connected to service. I have been frustrated with the VA and LHI over the amount of time it has taken to reschedule the CMP exams for my BVA remand. It's been over a month. I've been contacting them frequently to find out the status on when these CMP exams will be. Should I be worried that LHI is dragging their feet? Will LHI tell a lie to VA saying they couldn't locate a CMP examiner? COVID slowed things down with LHI, and so I wouldn't be too concerned that it hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen. So they're going to give you, if the BVA remanded, you're going to get a CMP exam. If LHI comes back to the VA and says they don't have an examiner, then they're going to send you to another company with another examiner. So it's just stand by to stand by. Sorry, I lost my place in these comments. Okay, guys, I got about 20 more minutes before my favorite show comes on. And so that's how long I'm going to be here, but I'll try to answer all the questions I can. So I might be rushing a little bit. My PC diagnosed me with fibromyalgia, which is brought about by chronic pain due to knees, neck, and back pains. Do I need a Nexus letter? I will file it secondary and see what the VA does first. Submit your private doctor's notes. I was denied a claim for conditions because I was missing 2 months of doctor visit while I was transitioning. I showed evidence of complaints and diagnosis. Should unappeal my claim or should it's up to you. You can try a higher level review or something like that, or you can get a Nexus letter and try a supplemental claim route. It's up to you. It's probably going to take the same amount of time. Trying the appeal route doesn't cost you any money, whereas a Nexus is probably going to cost you money. So it's up to you. I would have to review your file thoroughly to tell you more, to give you exact guidance on what to do. If I'm 100% PNT, can I quit therapy? I hate it. Yes. I have filed for PTSD 2 times. Both times the VA said it's not service connected. I was in the Gulf War and received a Bronze Star for my duties. Well, thank you so much for your service. VA said it's not service connected. I would try to get the exam results and see exactly what the examiner is saying and why it's not service connected. That's odd. You might try and get a Nexus letter to push the VA to give you a new exam. But definitely sounds like you should be service connected. So don't let the claim die. Keep pursuing it. If you have to go to the BVA, do it. A Board of Veterans Appeals. If you have to go to court, do it. I filed for headaches due to Gulf War. Presumptive. I have a diagnosis and medical treatment. I was sent for Gulf War exam a month ago. Headaches was diagnosed during comp and pen. Is Nexus established if I wasn't seen for this condition in service? If you're within 1 year of service, then I believe a Nexus can be established and it can be presumptive. But you have to show them that you had the diagnosis within a 1 year period. I got a call for CMP exam for sleep apnea secondary to PTSD. How much will the Nexus letter help? It's going to get weighed. If you already have it, it's going to get weighed against the BA examiner's opinion. So I don't know how much weight they'll give it. It's really all up to the rater. I had bilateral ankles rating at 0%. Moreover, I have been diagnosed with bilateral plantar fasciitis and possibly radiculopathy based on my doctor's notes. I was wondering, will I need to get a Nexus to connect my plantar fasciitis to my ankles? No, I would just claim it secondary. You don't. The Nexus letter in that situation is a nicety, not a necessity. But because they're going to give you an exam for it and ask the examiner for a medical opinion, if it got denied, then that's the point that I would get a Nexus letter. And if your back is only at 10% and it's bad, put in for an increase. That's really low for a back claim. So don't be afraid to put in for an increase for your back. Hello, I just had a sleep study, no results yet. Been diagnosed and service connected with PTSD, high blood pressure, and prediabetes and insomnia, but no rating for the latter. When I took a sleep study, I couldn't sleep, but then took a sleeping pill about 2 hours in. I really want to take it over. Is there a chance for that? I would talk to your provider and see if you could take it over. Yeah, yes, there's a chance. I was previously diagnosed as left foot something with 10% rating. Now I'm currently diagnosed with flat feet. Can my rating be increased for flat feet? Yes, I would claim it secondary to the other condition. Can we file a claim for hypothyroidism? Yes. Are PNT 100% PNT entitled to SSDI? No, you are not. The VA and Social Security don't work together like that, but it should entitle you to a faster decision from Social Security because they will get all your VA records. I recently got diagnosed with sleep apnea and used a CPAP machine. The doctor said it was related to my PTSD. Do I file an increase in PTSD or a new claim for sleep apnea secondary to PTSD? I don't know what your current rating is, but you probably don't want to touch your PTSD rating if it's 50 or 70. Just file a new claim for sleep apnea secondary to PTSD. Have you ever seen a document that has a disability claim and has static on? How do you get this document? You can get it by a Freedom of Information Act request, or you can get it from from a representative that has electronic access to your file. The document you're referring to is called a rating code sheet. Can you be seen for your pre-discharge appointments at a VA that's not the closest one to you? Yes, you can. I was diagnosed with PTSD last October, had literally been diagnosed the day before my CMP exam, but I have been getting continued intensive treatment through mental health and also on a drug regimen and left my job in January. Why do you think that my odds are of getting increased to 70%? And should I submit a personal statement? Yes, submit the personal statement, and I think your odds are good for getting 70%. Put in the increase ASAP. For a mental health rating, how many symptoms in that rating criteria do you need to have in order to get for 70%? I have all the symptoms for 50% and a couple under 70%. The way that it works is you don't have to have all of the criteria for 70% to be rated 70%, but there needs to be a significant amount of that criteria. So if there's only a couple under 70, they're probably going to keep you at 50, and you need to put in for an increase. What is static disability? Is it the same as PNT? Static is for each individual condition, saying whether it's likely to improve or not. PNT is for 100% rating, saying that 100% rating is permanent and total. I have carpal tunnel in both wrists. My initial claim was denied. I had carpal tunnel on one, and the doctor wants to do the other. It is apparent that my symptoms are severe, but they can't find it in my service records. How would I appeal this? You just file an appeal, include a personal statement. So I was diagnosed with AC joint separation, but they refused to give me a rating. I also have issues with my same shoulder. I believe it's a nerve condition, but they will not look into it further. I'm lost at this point. What to do? You're probably going to have to get a private Nexus letter or file a supplemental claim to reopen. I filed for sleep apnea migraines was what seemed like auto-denied. I filed for HLR and filed for IU as well. I'm now having back issues and was previously denied. Can I file an intent to file while waiting on the HLR and IU claims? Yes, you can. I have an open claim for three things. I had one CMP thus far. Will they identify the outcome of that one before the others are done? They can, not that they will, but they have the option to. So it's called a partial rating. So it's really all up to the rater. How do we get access to your list of professionals who write Nexus letter? It's in the group announcement section in the group on Facebook. Whoop whoop! Way to represent Demon Deacons, Carmella. Go Deeks! It's my undergraduate university. Do all claims get a CMP exam? No, they don't. Some of them are denied outright. Some have sufficient medical evidence to go ahead and grant the claim. So not all claims get a CMP exam. What do I do when a VSO makes sure records are ignored? Get a new VSO. I'm at 80%. How would I go about getting 100%? I was diagnosed with low iron and I had to take medicine because of bruising my legs after getting out. I was separated for multiple surgeries in my knees, and now I can't work out my legs because of nerve damage during surgery. I got 10% for hips, 10% for tinnitus in my ears, 30% for my knees, 50% for PTSD, depression altogether was given 80%. You had surgery on your knees. I don't want to tell you to put in anything that you don't have, but a lot of times with joint conditions, they can cause abnormal gait, which is pretty much like a limp or walking different, and your hips can cause pain. I will put in for whatever was secondary to your knees. If your feet hurt now, put in that in secondary. If you have nerve damage, put that secondary to the joint situation. And see how that comes out. Can you apply for headaches separately even though already SC for tinnitus? Yes, you can. I recently filed for a presumptive for Camp Lejeune water contamination. I was there for a short period of time in 1986 and was diagnosed in 2012 with kidney cancer. Had a partial right kidney removal. Do I need to get a Nexus letter? I think kidney cancer is presumptive. Let me check real quick. One second. Yes, kidney cancer is presumptive, so it should be granted. That's if the kidney cancer is still active. If it's resolved, then they might rate you on the residuals of the cancer. 40% back surgery done. Been 19 years. Should I put in for an increase? I'm worried about a decrease. 40% is pretty much normal for back, unless you're on bed rest a lot. Then you could put in and try to get to 60%. But 40% is the usual that I see. So you might want to try to claim some things secondary to your back. Is your back causing you any other issues? Hip pain, knee pain, foot pain, thigh pain? Is your back causing any other issues since surgery? Do you have a nerve problems with your back? If so, put in for those. What is your favorite show? Big Brother. I love Big Brother. What should one expect at a TBI exam? You're really going to be asked about the residuals. They're checking for memory loss, speech problems, vision problems. How did the head injury affect you, or the brain situation affect you, and what are the residual symptoms? When I initially filed and said my carpal tunnel was not service connected, I had an EMG and one visit with diagnosis while in service. Since I've been out, I had surgery on both hands. Is there anything I should do to get it rated? Yes, file a supplemental claim and submit the surgery records with it. Do you really have to put on a performance during a CMP? I have obstructive sleep apnea and have had surgery to help, but it's worse than not having surgery. And I have a dental apparatus to pull my lower jaw out to open my airway. I don't use my BiPAP every day. How well would that affect my sleep apnea claim? Okay, so at the sleep apnea exam, they're not going to ask you how often you use the BiPAP. They're only going to ask you if you have a machine. So just tell them you have a machine, point blank, period, and leave the rest alone. But you don't have to put on a performance during a CMP. Just be honest and vocal. That's the main thing. Advocate for yourself. If the doctor's not asking a lot of questions, then you do a lot of talking. What I say is you want the doctor to see what it's like on your worst day. So let them know what the pain is. Let them know what your worst day is like, and tell them about your flare-ups. How do I go about filing for migraines secondary due to PTSD medicine? You just file the claim, migraine secondary to medication taken for PTSD. How important is a Nexus letter when filing a claim? Can I file for anxiety secondary to tinnitus? If it's been denied before, a Nexus letter could be make or break. It could also help in the beginning, get you enough evidence to get it granted. And yes, you can file for anxiety secondary to tinnitus. Does the amount of your monthly payment increase if you're deemed unemployable? Yes, you're paid at the 100% rate. Do I need a Nexus letter for secondary claims? Not necessarily. It's a nicety, not a necessity, but it could help you. I suffer from depression that I get 50% for. Yes, you can. Can I get an increase? Yes, you can go to 70% or 100%. I was told they asked for the chip from the machine. That's in a regular doctor's appointment, not at the CMP exam. I have an upcoming CMP for an increase in my plantar fasciitis, which is 10%, and my right hip degenerative joint disease, which is 0%, and now has been documented that I need surgery. What should I expect at the exam? It's mostly going to be range of motion. So it's not what you say, it's what you show. So, let the doctor know you're in pain, be vocal. Your facial expression should show some type of pain, your body language. Make sure all those things are matching up. And it should not be hard to get 10% for your hip if it's already service connected. But if your feet have gotten worse, let the doctor know just how bad it is. A nurse practitioner calls me every week from the VA to check on my mental health. I see that she puts everything she talks about in my notes. Have you heard of this happening before? Yes, I have. Alrighty, guys. Looks like that's all the questions for tonight. Thank you so much for joining. I wish you all the best in your claims. And I hope that I was able to be helpful to you. Thank you so much.